Good morning, my dear students. Today we are continuing with the third unit, that is laws of motion, and in this laws of motion we are going to deal with a very important topic. The topic is friction. Okay. Now friction, if you want to define it, it is the force opposing the motion of a body, okay, or rather we can tell the force opposing the relative motion between two bodies is called friction. Okay, so if you have any object sliding over another surface or object, okay, in the direction opposite to the direction of motion, a force will be constantly opposing this relative motion, and this force is called the force of friction or frictional force, or simply it is called friction. Okay, now one very important property regarding friction, or we can tell it static friction. Static friction is the friction which comes into play when there is a tendency of relative motion between two bodies, okay, and after the relative motion between the two bodies start, then the friction will be called kinetic friction. So let's first deal with static friction, and one very important property regarding this static friction is that it is a self-adjusting force. Self-adjusting means no matter how much force you apply, okay, to set the body into motion, an opposing force will be generated in the opposite direction, which will be equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to the applied force, okay, before the body is set into motion. And if you keep on increasing that force to make the body move, the friction will in turn again adjust itself in such a way that it becomes equal and opposite to the applied force. That is the meaning of self-adjusting force. So, to make it clear with the picture, suppose you have an object, okay, you are applying a force F1, alright. Now, since it is not in motion, why is it not in motion? Because an equal and opposite force called the force of friction is adjusting itself in the opposite direction. Now again, you want to further increase the force, say F2. Now to stop the body from moving, again this frictional force will be increased in magnitude in the opposite direction. This can be called Fs2. Here S implies to static friction. Alright. That means on increasing the applied force, the frictional force also will increase itself to adjust the applied force so that the body is not set into motion. That is the main job of a frictional force, to oppose the motion of a body. Okay. So friction will be a self-adjusting force as long as the body is in rest. Alright. Now coming to the next term, called limiting friction. Now this limiting term will be applied whenever there is a threshold or the body is on the verge of moving. Alright. So to define limiting friction, it is the maximum value of the frictional force which comes into play when a body just begins to slide over the surface of another body. Okay. That means initially you apply an applied force equal to F1. It is not yet started to move, so frictional force will be the opposite direction. Now the next moment on increasing the applied force a little bit, now this force F2 is capable of creating a relative motion between the two bodies, and the opposing friction will obviously come into play. So this is the maximum opposing friction which has come into the picture just before the body has started to slide. So this is called limiting friction. Beyond limiting friction, the body will no more be in rest, it will be in motion. Alright. Now there are certain laws governing this limiting friction. These are called the laws of limiting friction. Here we have stated 3 laws. The first law, so we are now going to deal with laws of limiting friction, which is going to govern this value of limiting friction. First one, the magnitude of this limiting static friction depends upon the nature of the surfaces in contact and on their roughness. Okay, so two bodies sliding over each other or one body sliding over a surface, depending on how rough the surface is, the limiting friction's magnitude will be decided. Alright, and further, it does not depend upon the size of the surfaces. No matter how big the body is, the value of limiting friction will solely depend on the roughness of the surface and not depend on the size of the surfaces. Second, the force of friction is parallel to the surfaces in contact and is directed opposite to the motion of the body. That means you have two bodies set into relative motion. This is the applied force, and the force of friction or force of limiting friction will be applied in a direction that is parallel to this surface. Okay, this is also called tangential direction. It is like drawing a tangent. Alright, this is force of friction and is always directed opposite to the motion. Now the motion will be in that direction. Okay, the tendency of motion will be in that direction and the force of friction will be just in the opposite direction. Okay, that is the meaning of force of friction being parallel to the surface in contact. And last one, the limiting friction Fs. Okay, limiting friction Fs is directly proportional to the normal reaction force. Alright, so if you have an object, this will be the weight of the object, this will be the normal reaction force, and the value of this limiting friction will be directly proportional to the normal reaction force. Or removing the sign of proportionality, we will get a constant called mu s. Okay, so this is the formula for limiting friction. Okay, limiting static friction, where this mu s is called coefficient of static friction. It depends on the nature of the static friction, and this depends on the nature of the surfaces in contact. Alright. Now, if you want to just rewrite this equation, you will get mu s is equal to Fs divided by R. So this happens to be the formula for coefficient of static limiting friction. Okay, so you can define it from this formula. Therefore, coefficient of limiting friction is the ratio of the limiting frictional force to the normal reaction. You just divide the frictional force by the normal reaction force, you will be getting the coefficient of static limiting friction. Alright, so that is about static friction. Now, once you have applied the force and it crosses the threshold, that is the limiting friction, the body will begin to slide. Okay, but once the body starts to slide, the frictional force does not vanish. Whenever you drag something on the floor, there comes a sound, isn't it? That sound is because of the opposing force of friction. Alright. Now the friction that comes into play after the body has started to move, or when there is a relative motion, is called kinetic, or we sometimes call it sliding friction, which will be slightly less than the static friction. Okay. So to define it, the force acting between the two surfaces in relative motion is called the kinetic or kinetic or sliding friction, denoted by the letter Fk. If Fs was the force of static friction, this Fk is the force of kinetic friction. Okay, as a lesser force, I'll tell you why this Fk is less than Fs. As a lesser force is required to maintain the motion of a body than the force required to start a body from rest, sliding for friction is always lesser than the static friction. Now when a body starts to move, you will need to apply a force to keep the body in motion. Okay, but compared to what force was required to start the body, this force required to maintain the motion of the body will be slightly lesser, and as a result of it, the frictional force also will be lesser. So we can conclude that Fk is slightly less than Fs. Okay, that means Fs becomes greater than Fk. Again, the expression for kinetic friction, this also depends on the normal reaction force. So Fk is proportional to R, or Fk is equal to mu k into R, or mu k can be written as Fk divided by R. This is how you can define kinetic friction. Okay, this mu k is called coefficient of kinetic friction. Like we have coefficient of static friction when the body was at rest. Now when the body starts its relative motion, the coefficient is called coefficient of kinetic friction. Okay. Again, this value will be again slightly less than mu s. Okay. Because once the motion starts, the inertia of rest has been overcome. So once you overcome the inertia of rest, you need not apply that much of force, as a result of which the coefficient of kinetic friction also will be slightly lesser. Okay. Now, there is a graph which shows the frictional force versus applied force. As you increase the applied force, what happens to the frictional force? Okay. Initially when the body is at rest, on increasing the applied force, the frictional force also increases. So as we plot it in a graph, here we plot applied force and here we plot frictional force. Okay. This part is O. Now, when the body is at rest, as long as static friction is concerned, you increase the applied force, frictional force also increases because it keeps adjusting itself. Okay, so here Fs, that is the static frictional force, will be equal to the applied force. Okay, now suddenly there will come a kink and again it becomes stable. Alright, let's name the various portion A and this portion is B. Now this value is equal to the kinetic friction, which is equal to mu k into R. Let me explain to you the graph. In the part OA, as I told you, it is the static region. So I can name this region OA here as static region. Alright. And further after this, it is the kinetic region because the body has started to move. And you have noticed something that once the body starts to move, the frictional force does not increase further. It remains the same. No matter how much force you apply, the force of friction in the kinetic region remains the same. And this small region, that is, can you see this pink? Okay, this is called breakaway. Okay, now breakaway means the point where the static force of friction changes into kinetic friction. Okay, so part OA is where the magnitude of Fs is equal to the external force. Okay, frictional force is self-adjusting in this region. In the region, this AC, this point AC, it is the maximum value of frictional force possible. You don't see any value going beyond this length AC. So this is the maximum value of the frictional force possible. Okay, and this force is only called the limiting friction. Okay, now beyond part OA, after this part OA, you can see that the motion starts and the frictional force abruptly decreases. Okay, and it becomes equal to Vt, which is equal to the kinetic friction, that is equal to Fk. Okay, so this is the picture of a body before the relative motion is started and after the relative motion is started, and what happens to the friction in accordance to the applied force. Alright. So that is all for today's class. In the next class, we will be dealing with the angle of friction and friction in an inclined plane. Thank you for your attention.